Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Sathya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om. Offering my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our Mother Sai, who is nothing but kindness personified, as he always says. Love is his form, and his grace on this group, which began its journey starting as a small study circle, just to probably navigate through the COVID lockdown. Swami has somehow made sure, rain or shine, every Sunday he brings a chosen one to talk to us. And today we have someone who I'm absolutely excited to introduce, but let me start by giving a bit of a background. Not going the traditional way of introducing him, but I shall also do that at a later part in this introduction. I'm proud to say he too has his journey, like many of us, in this beautiful system of Balvikas that Swami created more than 5 decades ago. We just celebrated 50 years of Balvikas a couple of years ago with a beautiful ceremony in Puttaparthi. And if one were to reminisce and try to figure out why did Swami give Balvikas, Swami says, my name represents why I gave you that. So in Sai, service, adoration, illumination. So he says, let the mind get illuminated first. So the first part of our journey to Sai starts with the eye. It also tells you to destroy the eye, but it also illuminates the mind to help you learn that quality of discrimination. Then we develop the process of adoring Sai, where we have the spiritual wings, where it can be bhajans, reading Sai literature, engrossing ourselves listening to Satsangh. So the second part goes to the A. And the last letter, which is Seva, finally comes back to say that all that you have to do once you are illuminated and you know the discrimination process and you have adoration for me, all I want you to do is serve man selflessly. And that is what Swami asked this speaker to pursue in his life when his father went and said, Swami, my son is studying so and so. Swami says, please ask him to do IAS. And our speaker for today graduated into the IAS system in India in the year 1990. His father, M.S.Krishna Rao, was an ardent devotee of Swami and was a regular study circle speaker in Hyderabad. And I'm not sure if that was the influence. Our speaker for today spearheads the IAS Bhagavan Sathya Sai study circle in Tamil Nadu, which has been functioning for more than 2 decades now. And he serves in the state of Tamil Nadu as the additional chief secretary and has been holding various positions in the government, in the state and central governments as well. He holds a PhD in public policy from Madras University and an MA and MPhil from the University of Hyderabad, and holds also a certificate from Harvard Kennedy School on Public Policy. For those of you who have heard him before, all I can tell you is Swami has his own way of providing you with the opportunity to identify where one just dives into service without being asked for. And for those of you who have listened to him earlier, there are so many instances where Swami has allowed him to inspire and at the same time just be at the background letting people function. In fact, Radio Sai's introduction says not much you can Google and find about this wonderful speaker of ours, brother Dr.M.Saikumar, who is a silent worker at the back and inspires by leadership, which is lead without a title. And that is how Seva has to be performed, where the fragrance of your work should inspire people to come and be engrossed in nothing but Sai and be involved in the Seva as such. So without further ado, I pray to Swami that he inspires us through what Brother Sai Kumar has in store for us today in the Sai Govind Satsangh. Sai Ram to you, sir. Welcome.
Sai Ram. Om Sri Sai Ram. Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langayate girim yat krupa tadaham vande paramananda madhavam. This is a beautiful sloka which actually is a reflection on my status now. I am both Mukam means somebody who cannot speak and Pangum is somebody who cannot walk. And it's the grace of God that makes him speak, and Pangum langayate girim, that he can jump a mountain, he can walk onto a mountain and cross a mountain. So I'm both a Mukam and a Pangum as far as matters of spirit are concerned. But be that, I pray for Swami's indulgence and also his blessings to proceed further. My pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. Dear fellow travelers to the lotus feet of Bhagavan, brothers and sisters. Let me begin with a small anecdote, and this is the Navaratri going on, and one of the Navaratris, usually the Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha is held, and there is also a Veda Purusha Jnana Saptaha Yajnam in the morning. And in one of those evening, one of the speakers was speaking. I think it was a faculty member. I was not there, but one of the faculty members who was there told me this incident. I thought I'll start my a little interaction with you with that instance. And that is, they started as usual, that dear brothers and sisters. Some of you would have been there, some of you would have heard this before. And after the faculty, everybody had spoken, Swami started poking fun at him, saying, brothers and sisters, it seems. So are you really serious about what you're saying? I mean, are you going to give a share of your property to them? Something like that he was saying. So everybody had a good laugh, and then the matter ended there. So the next day, when the next faculty member was asked to speak, he avoided this, address saying brothers and sisters. He started saying, dear fellow travelers to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. So I start with that whenever I speak. And everything went off. And then Swami finally, when he was speaking, he said, look here, in Telugu he says, no, they've changed the plate. Plate marche, sir. One day, yesterday, I was telling them that are they very serious about being brothers and sisters without having any conviction, in their mind. Now they have said the fellow travelers to the lotus feet of Bhagavan. There's a simple lesson in this. I mean, that's why I thought I'll start with this. And that is a lesson which Swami tells us, to believe in what you say and say what you believe in. I mean, that's the lesson Swami had said so many times. Manasekam, vachasekam, karmanyekam, mahatmanam. And manasanyam, vachasanyam, karmananyam, duratmanam. That's what they keep saying. Unity of thought, speech, and action. But Swami tells us to follow that. But it's a lifetime of sadhana, even to think of manasekam, vachasekam, because we say so many things. I mean, Swami is present wherever we are talking about him. But we say so many things, but do we really have a conviction that Swami is with us? Do we have a conviction and a belief that Swami is with us? And if that is there, things happen on their own. These are very simple axioms, Swami says, but they require a lifetime of sadhana. I mean, whenever we're talking of a satsang, we talk about sadhana. See good, be good, do good. It's a very easy thing. I mean, Swami just tells us as an axiom. Says you see good. But as a human tendency, you always look at the worst part. You don't look at the good things in life. We have so many things happening to us. We have so many things, better things happening to us, good things with the grace of Swami. But we always concentrate on the bad things. Even when you're going around in a town, in a street, or wherever, you will get to see only the bad things. You don't see the good things. You don't see the improvements. And be good is the most difficult thing. It's easy to be not to be good. I mean, there's a Gurcharan Das famous book on the art of being good about Dharma, Yudhishthira in Mahabharata. The price he pays, and I mean, it's very difficult to be good. It's not so easy to be good and do good. I mean, that is the most difficult thing in life. You might think you're doing good. You might think as a kind of a ritual, you do some good, you do something, some as a ritual, but what is doing good? I mean, there is a whole tomes and tomes of literature has to be seen, and we have to realize it ourselves just to follow this small axiom. And love all and serve all is the next one, he says. And this is another thing which we all say as a matter of routine, but again, unless you are totally immersed in a total devotee to Swami, which he should say that you are a devotee. I mean, we all claim that we are devotees. I'm not sure how many of us he will certify as his devotees. So at least me, certainly not. So I can speak for myself. So that unless you are there, serve all, you do something, you do your constraints of time, your constraints of mind, your constraints of money, your constraints of whatever, so many constraints you will have. And love all is another difficult thing. You love your people, you love your near and dear, but whether you love everybody is something which you needs to understand. So all these require a lifetime of sadhana. And what is sadhana? That is our important thing. Swami's axiom is Naam or Kam. Naam or Kam. No elaborate rituals. Naam or Kam is Naam is name, or Kam. Kam is work. No elaborate rituals. No mantram. No yantram. And he just told, I think you must have all heard of this. He told Pedabottu that if she wanted to do whatever namam, he said, do my namam always. And whenever she kept saying Sai Ram, he told her once, why are you calling me always? And Pedabottu said, where am I calling me? And I'm getting up and saying Sai Ram, sitting down and saying Sai Ram, walking and saying Sai Ram. He says, that is what you're calling me. So just that word, Sai Ram, is what namam, and next one is Kam. Kam is his work, seva. Just name and seva, nothing more. That is what is sadhana all about. And that reminds me, I mean, forgive me if I keep giving you some anecdotes, because I thought that is better than talking dry, abstract things about Swami, because everybody will get bored. You must have heard this incident of Kasturi Garu. I mean, if Kasturi Garu can get fooled and deluded by Maya, we are all nothing before that. So I believe Kasturi Garu kept on pestering Swami to give him a mantropadesha. Some of you would have heard the story. So Swami said, okay, I'll give you, kept on blithering. It went on and went on and went on for some time. They went to Rishikesh, they went to Varanasi, they went all over the place. I think matters came to a pass sometime when Kasturi Garu sat down and said, Swami, now you have to give me a mantra. You can't escape giving me a mantra. And Swami quietly asked him, what do you do? Why do you want a mantra? He said, I'll do the japam. I'll do the namam. Give me that mantra. You are supposed to give me. I am your follower. Then Swami said, okay, what is the purpose? Why do you want it? And Swami said, by doing this mantra, I'll get very close to God. He said, I want to get very close to God. So then Swami leaned very close to Kasturi and said, how much more closer, Kasturi? So that is the delusion we are all in. What the Bhagavad Gita says, avajananti ma moodaha manushim tanumasritam Parambhava majanto mama bhuta maheshwara. Since all of us, he was with us, moving around with us as a human being. They don't understand. This was Sri Krishna. Avajananti ma mudaha. These fools don't understand my tattvam, that I am the Lord of the Lords in human form. And if somebody as erudite and as elevated as Kasturi Garu gets deluded and says, please give us a mantropadesham, and Swami had to lean next to him and say, how much closer you want to get to God? You've been living with him, talking with him, speaking with him, and touching him and doing everything. I mean, I don't know. I have no other words to tell, because what else can be our sadhana? So no mantras, no yantras, as far as I am concerned, though we do these rituals of prayers and everything, bhajans, only catch on to Swami, follow his path. That should be our motto. As you know, this is Devi Navaratri going on, so I was just going through the Devi Kshama Stotram by Adi Shankaracharya. No namantram nayantram tadapicha najane stuti. I don't want any mantram. I don't want any yantram. I don't even know to eulogize you. At least we are doing bhajans. Adi Shankara says, I don't even know how to eulogize you. Nacha ahvanam, I don't know how to invoke you. Na dhyanam, I don't know even to meditate. Tadapicha najane stutikata, I don't even want to listen to your stories. Najane mudraste, tadapi najane vilapanam. I don't know all these elaborate mudras of the yantras the yantriks do. Nor do I know how to cry for my mother. But I know one thing. Param jane mata tvad anusaranam klesha haranam. Tava anusaranam klesha haranam. That is the important thing. And that is, by following you, I will get rid of all my klesha. Kleshas are difficulties. Difficulties are two types. One is what we have on the physical plane, on the material plane. And I'm sure Adi Shankaracharya was not speaking of the difficulties on the material plane. The difficulties he faces on the spiritual plane, which all of us as Swami's devotees will have to cross. So only follow the Lord. That is the only way to klesha haranam, to cross the spiritual difficulties. Service to man is service to God. As I was referring to Swami's axioms, one is namam, second is service. So there was another incident which I'm reminded of, which again was, I think it came in Sanatan Sardi also, but this gentleman was a colleague of my father. Those old days of old mandir and all, when the modern toilets and all were not there in Prashanti Nilayam, the people used to go out into the open for their morning ablutions. And some of the sevadals used to go and clean the place and come back. All that's supposed to be the menial or dirty work in inverted commas. I mean, there's no such thing as dirty or menial work, but there are people who go. So when these volunteers go, normally we are all white-collared volunteers, white shirt. They used to go in old shirts, I believe, without having a bath. Wear an old rag shirt anyway, because after that you come back and throw it away because you do dirty work. And come back and have a bath. So one of this group was coming back after cleaning up all that, and they were walking in when Swami walked out to meet them and embraced each one of them tightly. I mean, look at them. They're coming from a whatever so-called menial work in inverted commas, and Swami goes out and embraces each one of them and says, there is no such thing as a bad work. So all of you as sevadals, wear your white shirts from tomorrow, wear your vibhuti, have your bath first, put on your vibhuti, wear your white shirts, and go and do this work. That is seva. That's what seva and sadhana is all about. And what you do has to be done with all your heart. There's no such thing as menial seva or a major seva. What we do as a white-collared seva, blue-collared seva. There's no such differentiations in seva. So what? When we are talking of Swami, again, there's this connect which we need to have. I mean, I'm sure all of you would have had that connect, because these days everybody says Swami is not in a physical form. So what do? Why do we need to go to Parthi? So what I feel is there is always a connect within. I mean, most of you, some of you would have been in Singapore for the last 30 years or 40 years. Some of you would have been in US for whatever, 50 years. We all grew up. We must have seen Swami once or twice. Some of us would have lived there, but always we would have moved on. But always at some point of time, the physical proximity is not there always. It's always the connect within which works. You know that he was there somewhere. You know that, he is taking care of you. You know that your prayers are answered. So that connect is always established. It's not as if every day you're going there, every day you're sitting in the queue, maybe once in a year, maybe twice in a year. Some of us were more fortunate, maybe once a month. I'm not mentioning the people who stay there, but all of us who are working outside, that happens. So it's kind of the connect has to be established from within. And unless that connect is established, the antardrishti is established. Look at Swami, because Swami also always taught us to look beyond his form. Because he, by his teachings, are always saying it's not the form that matters. It's not the bahya prakatana that matters. It's the bhavam that matters. It's how you look at antardrishti is what matters. So these days it is not. It's even fashionable, not for youngsters. Not even fashionable. It's fashionable not even to talk of God. I don't know why. I mean, there you want to have a connect with the Almighty. Then they say, okay, we don't even talk of God. We don't even talk of the thing. It's not fashionable to say that you're spiritual. So there is, I mean, some of us are fortunate that way, that at least we are talking of Swami. We had the pleasure of having his Parshan, Darshan and Sambhashan. And I'll again narrate another incident which all of you would have heard. Some of you certainly would have heard. Some of you would have been a part of that incident also. Again, when the students are taken to Kodaikanal in the summer, as you know, Swami takes them out on outings. Some of you would have gone. So there is a beautiful waterfall there called Silver Cascade. As you enter Kodaikanal from the Kodai Road, as you go up, there's a waterfall called Silver Cascade waterfall. I mean, and during rains and perhaps May, June, when Swami would be there, especially in April and May, the rains would be there on the hills and the waterfall will be flowing. Beautiful flow of the waterfall is happening. So he took all the students in a bus one day to the Silver Cascade. So as you know, when Swami is going in a bus, all the curtains are drawn because everybody will be looking at it. There'll be a traffic jam outside. So curtains are drawn, and the 20 odd students who were there inside. I mean, when Swami is there, you would know how we all behave. I mean, we want to touch him, we want to talk to him, we want him to look at us. All that was happening. And they reached the waterfall. Suddenly, the driver said, "There it is, Silver Cascade." So everybody forgot about Swami, drew the curtains, and they're looking at outside at the beauty. So they forgot for a moment that Swami was sitting inside. So Swami was seeing this tamasha. And then he said, beauty is outside, Swami is inside. Very profound statement. I mean, that must have been on the spur of the moment. Beauty is outside and Swami is inside. Such a lovely, I mean, I don't think there is any other philosophical statement than this which Swami had made. Look inside for Swami. That is the connect we have to establish. Antardrishti. As Swami says, you must have been reading the Lalita Sahasranam. Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. Look outside, the God is not available. Antarmukha Samaradhya. Look inside and she, he, or whatever, whichever form you want to call God in, is available inside. Swami says in one of the speeches that our mind has two wives. One is Antardrishti and another is Bahardrishti. So always looking outside, if you look outside, you will have 100 desires. So you will have 100 children like the Kauravas. And if you have Antardrishti, you will have the Pandavas, the five. The five children are Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa. So this is a Kurukshetra which goes on in our own lives. But metaphorically speaking, Swami said there is a Kurukshetra going on in our own life. So that there is an antardrishti and bahirdrishti. So coming back to the silver cascade incident, I believe one of the students there, I said, in Telugu, this beautiful thing is called andam. It's very beautiful. So he said, Swami, what is the difference between the two? What is andam and what is saundari? And Swami very quietly told him that andam is something very physical, and saundaryam is something which is ethereal. Saundarya sara sarvaswam, we call Swami, Saundarya sara sarvaswam, mandahasa manoharam, mandaru janavandaram, vande Sai Maheshwaram. This is not andam. This is not something beautiful, which you want to possess. You see a beautiful thing, you want to possess it immediately. This kind of saundaryam is something which stuns you. So antardrishti, or the connect, is something which stuns you. You must have that 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita where Dhritarashtra is explaining to, this guy is asking, Dhritarashtra is asking Vidura, what is happening? What is happening? So Vidura gets the Divya Drushti and says, Swami, that Lord Krishna is giving the Viswarupa Darshanam. And he says, how is that? So Vidura says, Divi Surya Sahasreshu Bhavet Yugapaditita Yativa Sadrisasya Bhasyastasya Mahatmana. There are, as if there are 1,000 suns have arisen at the same time. Divi Surya Sahasreshu. So something like that, when Swami is walking, it's like as if 1,000 suns have arisen at the same time. That is what Saundaryam is all about. And this you cannot see with your eyes. This cannot happen with your eyes. The physical eyes are panchabhautikam. So, and Swami has said so many times, and what he says, you have to look into yourself. And there's what Swami is what we always describe in a lot of adjectives. Nada Brahmamayi, Paratparamayi, Characharamayi, Jyotirmayi, Vangmayi, Mayamayi, Srimayi. That is God. And that is not possible with an outer connect. And Swami is always Niranjanam, Niketanam, Sanatanam, Nitya Buddha, Sutta, Nirmala Swarupa. So if you have to understand that, if I have to understand, it's not as if I'm telling you. It's every satsang or every talk with devotees is a self-discovery for myself. It's not as if I'm giving or preaching you, but this is what it is. We have to establish a connect. And another important thing, as I said, you are only an instrument, not the karta. And the problem comes when you think you are the karta. I have already explained one or two incidences in one of my things. I don't want to repeat them. But we can go back to the good old Kasturi Garu's stories. Some of you would have heard it, but we can always hear it. As we say, like Ramayana and Mahabharata, we keep listening. And somebody asked, I believe one famous Telugu poet was the Vishwanath Satyanarayana, saying, why do you want to write again a Ramayana? He wrote a Ramayana. He same samsaram every day. And now you say, why don't you want to hear the same Ramayana? So this is the same Ramayana. If somebody narrates Swami's stories again and again, the same thing I might have heard, but it's a great pleasure to hear it again. With that thing, these Kasturi Garu stories are well documented. Once, Kasturi, at that time, Swami was writing in the Sanatana Sarthi for the Upanishad Vahini. And every month, he writes one article. So Kasturi Garu, that time it was all the old printing, not the so-called computerized printing. He has to take the article, then set a print, and then take it to the printer, pour ink on that, and put it on the printer. And then, the press has to run, that old time, not the modern computer typesetting, which we do now. As we think we can print, that was not there then. So I believe he went on pressurizing Swami. Swami says, why don't you give me something on this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad? And Swami, I believe, asked him to sit, took a piece of paper, and for 15 to 20 minutes straight, he wrote something and gave it. That is Upanishad Vahini, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he has given it. And I was reading it again and again, beautifully written in that half an hour's time. And Kasturi Garu says when he was writing that, I saw the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is where Yajnavalkya explains everything to his students. I saw Yajnavalkya and Swami. And this is not the best part. The best part is this next month. This is again documented. Swami was talking to somebody. One G.V. Subbarao Garu is there, who was a famous person. His father was that Gandikota Shastri Garu who gave that Sai Gayatri, which we started before. So Swami was talking to him. As usual, Kasturi Garu went in and said, Swami, I want this article yesterday. We are already delayed. Please give me the article yesterday. Swami said, wait, I'll give you. But he kept on pestering, Swami, please, article time. He said he was discussing seriously something with the G.V. Subbarao. Then Swami said, okay, Kasturi, and just waved his hand and gave a copy of the Sanatana Sarathi for the coming month, which is yet to be printed by Kasturi. It's already there as a copy, and gave it to Kasturi and said, okay, it's already written in there, go take it. I mean, stunning. I mean, you won't understand what is happening for some time when somebody tells you this. Because you say you are the Karta, you take the article, you put the typeset, you go print it, and then you publish it, and then you give it to the bookstore and you post a stamp and you send it across. But here it's already printed, something done. The future, he plugged it out from the future and said, look here, take it and go. That's when he says, that's when I believe Kasturi realized that, we are nimitta matram bhava savyasachi. They are nothing but instruments in the hands of the God. So anytime, anything you think that you are the Karta, that I am the Karta, I am doing it, immediately the bubble punctures. If it could puncture for Kasturi Garu, we are all nothing before that. So I believe I'm quoting Swami. Swami says in one of the things, work with the feeling of being an instrument and everything is His grace. These are actually Swami's English translation of a Telugu speech. And then one of the students like us asked, so then Swami, why not tell everyone at the beginning itself that there is no free will? If everything is, you are an instrument and everything is His grace, why don't you tell everybody that there is no free will? Then Swami says, Bangaru, free will is the last obstacle in an individual's sadhana. Free will is the last obstacle. It's the last bastion which we have to, concept of free will is the last bastion which we have to break in an individual sadhana. I mean, I didn't understand this when I read this about 10 years back. It needs a lot of maturity even to understand that free will is the last obstacle in an individual sadhana. So we have to do sadhana just to understand that, okay, you are only an instrument and what is happening is His grace. Because all the time, you think you are the doer. And most of the times you do it also. I mean, these are the things where unless it is His grace, even blade of grass cannot. So that is the last thing for surrender, which you understand. And as I said, form is temporary, it disappears. So our connect with Swami, as usual, started with 2.0. Connect starts in 2011. So when you say all of us, some of us would have seen Swami, some of us, actually after Mahasamadhi, a lot of people have come into Swami's fold. I mean, I don't know why it happens because Swami keeps talking from his Samadhi. I mean, that's Shirdi Baba had said, I'll talk to you all from my Samadhi. Swami keeps talking to a lot of people. And there have been lots of incidences. I don't know if you have read Dr. Mohan's book, Satya Sai Lives On. Wonderful. I mean, that experiences and all, you can't, I mean, and it's not as if, somebody who is not signed without a scientific temper or somebody. He's a scientist. He has done research. He's a diabetologist. He's got so many awards. And if he says, this is what is happening in my life, I mean, we are all normal, common mortals who, I mean, I strongly recommend that all of you should, I mean, whoever have not read that, please read that. Satya Sai Lives On by Dr. V. Mohan. But irrespective of all this, we seek the mortal form. And that is where a lot of mischief happens. Paundraka Vasudevas, as I say. Paundraka Vasudeva is a story in Mahabharata. Bhagavatam also, it's there in Bhagavatam, where, one fellow thought, one great friend of Jarasandha and Shishpala, thought he can become Lord Krishna himself. So I believe he called a carpenter and got himself 2 more hands done. And he started having a chakram and a gada, and of course mace, and of course a shank and all that. And he started behaving like Lord Krishna. So these Paundraka Vasudevas will be taught their lesson in due course. Let's not get into that, but don't seek Paundraka Vasudevas. I mean, Swami is always there and we have a connect with him. Because what happens is our natural desire. I mean, you want somebody to replace Swami, somebody to be in place of Swami. And somebody says, okay, I'm here. And Swami during his lifetime has said, I have no business delegating my responsibilities to anybody. I mean, he talks to us. I mean, we have so many experiences. I don't want to go into personal experience, but every one of us have personal experiences. And he talks to us so many times. Maybe if time permits, I'll get into one or two, which you must have already heard. But I said, it's like the stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata. How many times you hear, you would like to hear it again. Such beautiful manifestations. One or two from Dr. Mohan's book, and which I've also been a witness. There is this beautiful temple of Sai Kailash in Uti. I mean, I'm telling you the ones which I've seen. There must be so many others which I have not seen. So in Sai Kailash, Swami seems to have told them that he will come to Uti when the temple is consecrated. But he had attained his Mahasamadhi. But every day you will see Swami's manifestation there. I've been there. And what you could see is mounts of vibhuti erupting from the floor, chocolates coming out of the photographs. And the simple devotees there, they're all the Badaga devotees there who perform puja there in Uti. Very simple folk, not complicated. And they put food for Swami and close the door. And when they come back, some of the food is gone. And they put a bowl of water and you have for washing his hands. And you have morsels of food in that bowl. You can see that. And you go there after that, you can see that. And I was there. And there's a jhula. There's a swing in Swami's room. And it starts moving. And one of the youngsters there, he was saying that, there must be a draft of wind coming in. I mean, draft of wind or whatever. You can't move a heavy, thick wooded jhula with a small draft of wind. But somebody went, I said, why don't you go and close the balcony door? They closed the balcony door, but the jhula was still moving when we were doing the aarti. And the moment aarti was given, and we did this vibhuti mantram, then the jhula stopped swinging. So, which is absolute proof that Swami was sitting there when we were doing this aarti. I mean, I was fortunate that I was asked to give the aartis to Swami, take aarti to Swami. So I was a live witness. And of course, you must have heard of the Sai Shruti in Kodaikanal, where recent things, these are all happened last year and 1.5 years before. It was kind of dilapidated and they wanted to do remake the whole thing. And Venu Srinivasan sir, the TVS chief, wanted to sponsor the whole thing. But he was looking at the costs. They said rain was dripping in, so the entire sheets had to be replaced. And the estimate was about 2 crores of rupees, Indian rupees, had to be spent just to get that done. So they were looking at the budget and they sent their engineers. After some time, they were praying, and this engineer comes back and says, sir, everything is new on the top. It got replaced itself. I mean, I can understand this if somebody else tells me, but when Mr. Venu Srinivasan himself tells me that this has happened, I have not spent a single pi to replace the shutters on the top of the Sai Shruti. Everything got replaced by themselves. Brand new fiberglass sheets. And we did that. And what more can you require as a proof of Swami's lives on inverted commas? Then, of course, we were witness that, there is a Venugopal Swami statue inside. Those who have visited Kodai would know. And they were standing in front of it. There was a sound and vibhuti started pouring onto the statue. There were whole mounds of not just a pack of vibhuti or some smattering of vibhuti. It's almost like what Swami used to do, the Shirdi Baba's Abhishekam, in old times. That much of vibhuti started pouring onto that. And Swami's car is parked in front of Sai Shruti, and you have Vibhuti all over in the car. And these are small instances, lots of Vibhuti. And we have some personal experiences in our own IAS study circle where we have a monthly meeting. We used to have at least till the COVID struck. After that, we also shifted to the virtual meetings. And now again, we are starting the physical meetings, and we are making it hybrid, physical and also because that used to be the Tamil Nadu IAS study circle. Thanks to COVID, it became an all India, because here we used to have all India people used to join from all over the world, because the guys who have retired have gone and settled with their children in US, UK, perhaps all over the place. So everybody joins in this study circle. But when it was being done physically, once or twice, at least 3 times, when Dr. Mohan himself was speaking, he mentions it in his book. He was speaking, and that again was in my place, in my house. In our house, he was speaking. And then we were talking about this, though all of us don't talk about miracles, but he was mentioning about Sai Kailash and said, I don't know, if Swami permits or Swami graces, you might have Vibhuti coming out of this very picture. He showed me a picture and he told all of us sitting there, about 20, 25 of us were sitting there. This photo might start emanating, Vibhuti might start emanating from this photograph. And we did the Aarti and Bhajan was over. Then we shifted to the next room for Prasadam distribution. And Narayan Seva, we were having our dinner. Narayan Seva is a euphemism for having a good dinner after Bhajan. So that's what we do. So when we were doing that, lo and behold, before that, what happened? One of the senior devotees ticked off Dr. Mohan. He said, you ought to not have spoken like that. You can't challenge Swami and say, okay, for all that I know, this thing will come from here. But I went inside and I came back running and told them, look here, Vibhuti has started coming on the photograph. He mentions that in his book, if you read that. There's a lot of Vibhuti from that book, from that. Well, it's not as if to say that we are challenging, but it's a living proof that where yatra mad bhaktani gayante, tatra tishtami narada. This is what Narada, I believe Lord Vishnu has told. I say, I am not in Vaikuntham, I am not in Kailasam, I am not in everywhere. Where my devotees talk and sing about me. Yatra mad bhaktani gayante, tatra tishtami narada. He told Narada. So that's where Swami's presence, we have to be very careful when we are talking in a satsang about Swami, because Swami's presence is now all over. If it was a physical meeting, perhaps it would have been in a room. But now I think we are virtually connected, so Swami is there all over. So that's Swami for you. And on Venkat was mentioning about that incident which I had already narrated. Not about miracle, but about Seva and Swami's sevadal, which he wanted me to tell again. And those of you who have heard it, please bear with me, because this was during the 2004, we had this major tsunami. And as you all know, we didn't even know what tsunami was. Some of us have even never heard that name. People thought when tsunami comes, some Indonesian general called T tsunami was coming into the country. And we don't even know what was that. And it struck. It was 26th of December, the Boxing Day. People were enjoying, relaxing, and a major disaster happened. We have absolutely no control. But how we react to that is where our training comes in, Swami's grace and our training. For 1 or 2 days, they were shocked. And then after that, we all, as administrative members, we all went. I went to the worst hit place called Nagapatnam. One of my friends was the collector there. And they made us into small troops and said, you go to a particular place. It's not a great thing to say, but when we went there, absolutely when a disaster strikes, absolutely no power, no water, no food. The wave had come completely into the village. And fishermen villages are bang on the seashore. So half of them were sleeping or whatever they were doing in the morning. I think it was sometime in the morning. So they were all, morning time, everybody is on the seashore, tying their nets or doing whatever, or doing their ablutions. Nobody sits in the houses early morning in these rural hamlets. So everybody was on the seashore and all of them got washed away. So we don't know the figure, but the particular village I went to, they say the casualties were about 150, 200 just in that 1 hour. It's a small hamlet. And they said there are about 75 to 80 bodies lying around, which it was already the third day, 26, 27, 28. I had gone, and they said, you have to do something. Otherwise, the bodies are stinking. And whenever a disaster strikes, within second day, third day, the other things start. Disaster has come and gone. For the dead, they have dead and gone. But for those who are living, the epidemics will start. And the smell, the dogs, the food has to be arranged, the water has to be arranged. All these things have to be done. But first thing is, people are wailing there, trying to identify their near and dear. It was various stages of dismemberment. They ran away and they came back to see their near and dear. Nobody could identify who it was. In this state, we had about 10 to 15 of us, because everywhere, all over, right from Madras to Kanyakumari, all along the coast, there was this disaster. So manpower was kind of less. So we had no other idea but to depend on voluntary organizations, no other option. So we said, whoever wants to come, please help us out. So a lot of, except one or two, this particular item of work, nobody was willing to do. I mean, the ones who had come into my place, I don't want to mention names, but they said, sorry, I brought cans of food, I brought cans of water, I brought one lorry load of old clothes, I can give that, but dead bodies, I'm sorry, you can't do it. We were doing it from the district administration side, but all 75 cannot be done in a matter of one day. Then the only idea that struck me was, then part of our Balvikas and Sevadal training, I said somebody can go stand on the highway. So look for our white and white guys with a blue collar going around in some, because the phones were not there. I couldn't even contact anybody. And those days, I mean, 2004, the smartphones definitely were not there. I couldn't give a WhatsApp or anything. Phones and all network was down. So we were talking on walkie-talkies and stuff, and police radio communication. And BSNL was the only thing that was connected to these villages, the state entity then. And they were trying their best. And some of the cell phone operators disappeared. They didn't come at all to the place. So I sent some people to stand on the highway and catch hold of our white and white with blue collared workers to come and help. You say, Sai Kumar, there's one character called Sai Kumar who's there. And that's an advantage, having the name as Sai Kumar. So please, he's asking you to come. So some of these village level officers, we call them village officers or taliaris or whatever is the name, they went and stood there. And definitely a couple of lorries were going, couple of buses were going. They caught hold of them and said, please come here. So I don't even know whether they're from Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, wherever, but they were there. And they said, Sairam, what do we need to do? We said, this is what has to be done. No questions asked. Within a few hours, they did this entire job. And then I said, there is another friend of mine working in a neighboring village. Could you go and help them? We couldn't even offer them food. I mean, the villagers had come forward and given them food, of course. So they call them Sairam people or whatever they call. Sairam people had come. And they went to the next village. So that is where, Seva comes in. This is such an anecdote where your connect with Swami is so strong that you don't ask questions when Seva has to be done. If that is done, then Swami is with you always. As he said, when you're doing a menial work, when you're doing something, there's no such thing as a menial work. Wear your white shirt and a blue collar if you have one. Otherwise, put some vibhuti and go and do that work. That is what it is all about. And not many people do that except Swami's devotees. And that is the best thing about Swami's thing. And one more flippant thing, which I also narrated with Swami's presence. I told you once that I told in that previous interview that, once we were in Sundaram in Chennai. Chennai is Swami's, this thing is Sundaram temple. The main altar, there was Vibhuti manifestation on that day. Normally, Vibhuti comes all over in all the pictures, but the main altar, it was the 22nd of August 2015, if I remember correctly. And that 22nd of August is our wedding anniversary. So I told my wife, look here, Swami has blessed you. My wife told me, Swami has blessed you. So we are blessed. So I was flippant. I said, if Swami wants to bless you, why do you have to come to Sundaram? Yeah, hardly 2 kilometers away I stay. So why can't he come and bless us at our home? I mean, this is a very rotten thing on my part, a very flippant answer. But anyway, my wife said, "You are incorrigible. You're like that only." So we finished our this thing, and Chandran sir, who was there, gave us some prasadam or something. We took it, went home, and then we opened the puja altar. There was vibhuti there. So it's a way of Swami telling me, "You idiot, don't be so flippant. I'm there, I'm here, I'm everywhere. But don't test me." This is what happened. So that is another living proof. This is all post Mahasamadhi. It's not as if when Swami was physically present, perhaps the manifestations would have been less. I don't. Now it's all over. So this Vibhuti manifestation, and as I say, Swami's Samadhi speaks to us all the time. I have personal experiences of me going and putting letters on the Samadhi, and immediately the answer comes within a matter of hours. It's my personal experience. I mean, so I can't share all those things in public domain, but there are a lot of things which have happened. So you go to Parthi, I mean, it's not necessary that you go to Parthi. Because there is another incident I thought I'll tell you here. This was when Swami immediately had his Mahasamadhi. I was not able to go immediately that year. So I was thinking that I should go, but I was not able to go because a lot of office work or something had happened. And, my father passed away the previous year. I had a lot of domestic issues. Then one day, Swami came into my dream and said, "You don't have to come to Patti. I'm here in Sundaram also." Sundaram is, as I said, is a Swami's temple in Chennai. Sundaram is also my house. He said, "Sundaram also is my house," Telugu. And then incidentally was mentioning in my bedroom upstairs, they have forgotten to put the pillow back after cleaning up. They have locked up the pillow. I thought it was some kind of joke in my dream. These are wish fulfillment. You keep thinking of Swami and these kind of vague things come. So I just forgot about it. I didn't even mention. But somehow something was nagging. I said, "What is this? Swami's dreams are always like this." So very hesitantly, when I go there every Sunday. So very hesitantly, when I went there on one Sunday, I told the caretaker, "Sir, Swami seems to have, I believe you seem to have locked up the pillow, Swami's pillow inside." That guy, what he glared at me and said, "What the hell? Anyway, let me go and see." So he went and checked up. When they after the clean, the pillow was not there actually on the cot. It was locked up in the almirah. So what happened was that when they cleaned up, they taken after that, this also Swami, Dr. Mohan mentions in his book. Because after cleaning, somebody, one of the volunteer must have put it inside and forgot all about it. So after that, it's very pakka now. Every day they put water, they put fruits, they clean up the place. There's a pillow, the sheets are changed. And so you are one of the. I mean, it's not as if it's something that he told me, but the moral of the story is that he's everywhere. It's not as if you need to go to Patti, but personally, whenever I go to Patti and ask for some benediction, ask for something. Not that, again, it's again what Swami, against all teachings of Swami. You don't ask me for material things. Ask for spiritual things. I've come for that, but always we go there for material things. We have not grown to that stage where we ask for things spiritual. And we are not some big sannyasis or Karunya Mayananda or some other Ananda who are staying with Swami, or the ones who visit him from Himalayas and stuff. We go there for material benefits, and they materialize. Every time you're there, it happens. Test it out. You come and do it. I can vouch for it. So these are some of the personal experiences, I think, and some of the things which, as I say, I have not said what I had to say. This was all somebody else saying, and I hope And when Swami say, we talk about Swami, definitely there is no disappointment. It's always more and more. We want more and more of Swami. But there is always the time constraints and stuff. So let me end at that. And if somebody has any one or two questions, or maybe, I mean, I'm not competent even to answer any questions because I'm very small, minor, Renu in the entire scheme of things. So it will be very presumptuous on my part to say that I'll be able to answer any questions or doubts. As it is, yeah, you're open.
I think, as always, from what I remember in the radio side too, you don't dwell on what opportunities have come your way to experience the divinity in the form of service, because that's what you've taken up as a role that you play in life. So, as an IAS officer, but along with that, you do have several opportunities where you would have seen His grace come through the people who believe in Him. I think the tsunami incident was just one, and I know from this thing you have a way of asking and challenging Swami with, those quirky thoughts that run. You're not the only one. Every one of us have those thoughts in terms of challenging what you see and why not this or that. If anyone has got questions, I have a few, but I would like anyone else to go first on the questions, and then I have a couple of questions if nobody else comes forward first. If anyone has got questions on, and I'm sure you have.
Sayonara, brother. Venkat, thank you for another mesmerizing session. In fact, sessions like what Brother Sai Kumar has narrated re-instilled faith in Swami. And it is very important for all of us to believe that Swami is very much present even now amongst us. Brother Sai, Sairam to you. I have two questions, brother. First question is, what are the key lessons you have learned during your professional as well as your personal Seva career in man management? Because what I've realized is that when we are in service, expectations get built up that this service will be done properly. When the service is not done, or when you don't get response from the loved ones or the close ones who you are expecting, there is a slight disappointment. At least I do feel in relationships, disappointments coming about. So how do you actually manage expectations? What are the learnings and also interpretation from Sai philosophy? That's the first question, brother. Second question is, have you written any book, brother, which you can share it with us about your journey so far? Because your journey is very different. We have heard many devotees speak, thanks to Brother Venkat, but you're a bit different because you're in the professionally also, you are in a line where it's not easy, I guess. And so we would love to learn about how do you manage your professional life and personal spiritual upliftment. Saira.
Sairam, thanks. I actually, so far, I have not yet written a book. I don't know. It will be presumptuous to say that I'll be writing something. But whether if we will something, then we'll write maybe after some time. But that's all sometime for the future. You don't know. And because I was again reminded, because recently I've been reading and rereading Dr. Bhagavan's book. I believe he wanted to outsource the book to somebody because he doesn't have time. And I believe he got a message on his phone saying, if you want to say something about the God, say it yourself. So these are some things, which happen from the blue. So something like that, if you want to do it, you have to do it ourselves, and finding time and energy and also the capacity to articulate it. It's some things, this is very experiential. And in an experiential thing, 50% of your experience only gets articulated. I'm sure, all of you would have seen that. What you experience, not even 50% gets articulated. Even in the best of speakers, they can articulate only 50% of their experience. And I am not one of those speakers who can articulate very well. So, so that way, a book is a good idea. At least you can put it down on paper so that people can read it, but not as of now. Maybe in the future when Swami wills. The other one is a very important thing which you had asked, how do you raise expectations? From the Swami's fold, and see, I'm also a public figure. I've worked in public services. And there is also the personal, this thing with Swami and what we do in this. Everywhere there are expectations, not as if, even when you go to Parthi, there are a lot of expectations from the other people. You go to the canteen and you come from far off. And maybe perhaps, you would have expected something and then something else is there. So managing expectations, one thing, having expectations also is another thing. So I always say, keep the expectations low. I mean, low in the sense, what is possible, what is not possible. And as a public figure, from Swami's side, what empathy is what, wherever, if you see Swami's literature, he says whatever, the one thing which struck me always was you might not oblige, Swami always says, you might not oblige everybody, but speak obligingly. I mean, you must have heard it hundreds of times when Swami is speaking. And what is wrong? I mean, I don't think I can help everybody out with what or demands they come up with. But there's no point in telling them that you're a fool and your demand is useless. Go get away. We'll try to help them out. I mean, we'll try to do that. I don't know if you've heard my Radio Sai interview. There's one incident which I narrated, which again, if time permits, I'll repeat. I was in one of those Virudhunagar districts.
Lots of time. Go ahead.
So there is an old age home in a place where Ramana Maharshi was born. That place is called Tiruchuri. So long back, I was a collector, district collector there. So at that point of time, the rule all over the country, the rule was that if there is an old lady abandoned by their own children, an old lady or an old person, the government doesn't give them anything as a social security benefit because there is a living legal heir. He was supposed to look after that. So only those who do not have legal heirs or only those who do not have anybody to take care of them are given some paltry amount of 300 rupees or 400 rupees at that point of time, which was really long back, which was quite sufficient for them to buy their medicines and stuff. And when I went there, I saw, what is this ridiculous thing? I mean, this should not happen. So, and they were all representing that they are there in the old age home because their kith and kin have abandoned them. Otherwise, why will they be there? It's not as if it's one of those modern old age homes now where we go pay and stay and all. That's not the kind of things. These are different, where even I will opt for that when I get old, because there everybody is there. We have the capacity to pay for that, and not those rest and relaxation houses. This was a place run by a voluntary organization for those who have been abandoned. So now, about 100 of them were there, and none of them were getting any benefit from the government. So I said, let us relax this damn thing. Let us give it off. So as on the spot, we said, look here, all of them are eligible to get that 300 rupees pension, pass an order and give it to them. So that became an order for that particular district. But that is not the rule. I broke the rule. Because the rule is that it should only be for those. So, the system is in government, there is something called the audit. So after some time, the audit fellows will catch you saying that you wasted government money. So the audit had come and they pointed out that this chap has exceeded his brief. So obviously it goes up, goes to the powers that be, maybe perhaps to the chief minister. I don't know, I was too low a functionary where it had gone. But I believe when it went, they said, what is wrong in this? This should be adopted all over the place. It's a good idea. So that became a rule all over the state. And subsequently, it became a rule in the national state. Now, all over the country, they get about 1,000 or 2,000 rupees if they are old and they are, even if they have legal heirs and abandoned. So social security kind of a thing for that. So that has become a rule some time back. So what you do in good faith with an empathy, expectations were there. You have to break a rule. Within the rule, if you are able to do it and not doing it, that's a bad thing. I mean, and if there is a small thing which you can violate without much trouble to yourself and much trouble to anybody else, why not help out people? That is the philosophy. If that is the philosophy, then definitely, even if there is a mistake, Swami will take care of you. He has your back. That is my understanding. So, thank you.
Sai Ram, yeah, anyone else has got questions? I'm always waiting to jump the queue to ask mine, but I'm going to wait and be patient for the rest, because I have to tell you, I normally avoid hearing the satsang of the speaker before the talk, just to have the suspense. But I've heard a few things that I started this video of his radio side talk while driving the car. And believe me, I didn't want my journey to end till I finished that satsang. I didn't have a destination of, Singapore. There's nowhere you drive for an hour. It was about an hour and 5 minutes. And I was like waiting to see how the interviewer was prompting him to slowly open up, because he was conveniently trying to anything avoid called personal. There was hardly anything coming towards the last 15-20 minutes. Like, it's like one of those movies where the story takes precedence, the subject matter takes precedence, experiential is mine. And I'm sure you have similar experiences. And that's how he was introduced in the talk. And he kept to it till the last 15 minutes. And I said, maybe it's like this, I don't want to be in the satsang talking about movies, but when they leave something to a part 2, I was saying, okay, today shall be a part 2. And he's still kept a part 2 waiting for it to come. So I'm going to go back and ask a few questions. But if anybody else has got anything, please do ask, because we always get a lot of people who can philosophically interpret. It's actually very difficult, where it's a thin line between profession, duty, and following those learnings. And I strongly believe that is what Balvikas does to a great extent. I actually want you to talk a little bit more on those values and lessons that you had at Balvikas and those Shivam pre-sevadal days, because I think those are the foundations that build the values that are inherent in many of us. We have had quite a few speakers who have been students who came in from the Balvikas movement too. That will be something that I would like to go in. Also want you to touch base on the importance of more people joining public service if they have an opportunity, and how service is something that has to come from within. The art of serving must come from a yearning to serve, not looking for opportunities to serve. I would like you to touch on that if you can for a short while. But before that, if anyone has got any other questions. I know it's Navratri, and all of us have our shundal mundal stuff as well, and the prayers. He's got a prayer to go to after this at home, which is flexible. I'm not going to keep him long. Anybody else? If you have got none, then I'll put my question straight away. Maybe while you answer, the others who are hesitant to ask will open up and ask. I always find it why sometimes the questions we are always hesitant to ask, but there's nothing to be hesitant. He's not spoken on a few interesting anecdotes of how Swami goes and gives a bang. Last week's speaker also spoke about a bang on the head. I want that particular thing about the Madurai incident. Definitely, that's a request for everyone to know. There are a lot of parallels many of us would have had in our lives. That's one. But the most important thing that I want to understand is how Balvikas has molded you to look at what you became when you chose something as a career. So if you can maybe give some parallels or anecdotes, will be nice.
Balvikas, yeah, definitely. All of us part of Balvikas are proud of it. It's not as if, but that's what I said. These days, youngsters don't talk about God or whatever. It's not fashionable. Whereas we are I'm the 60s or 70s generation. So we are proud of talking. We're familiar. We grew up and we were lucky. That's thanks to the parents, and also thanks to the availability. I was hardly about 20-25 minutes away from Shivam. So that's a Hyderabad temple. So evenings, no TVs, no mobile phones, no gadgets. Either you play or go to some other place, listen to somebody or something. So, and luckily the induction into Balvikas happened as a matter of natural thing. And there somebody is teaching you some slokas, some songs, you do some drama, you do some tamasha. These are the ones, that immediately draw, because what the mobile phone game is now for the youngsters at that point of time, perhaps an attraction, and it's all for the good. And you had these eminent guys coming and talking to us all the time. You look up to them. You look up to them. The ones who are there already in Swami's this thing. And so obviously it molds your, at least if not future, at least your thought process. You're not, and then you're always there to do seva. There's always something to look after. There's something to take care of. There's something to talk to people. There's empathy. These are all built in into our, I mean, it's not obvious. You look at the syllabus, it's not obvious. But the stories which tell you, the people, the atmosphere, the teachers who come there, I mean, somehow I think it builds up your character. Definitely it builds up your character. And we had the famous ones like Duragaru used to come and talk to us at that point of time. He was a police commissioner of Hyderabad. Vijayaram Rao used to come. And then Professor Bashiruddin was there. He was India's ambassador somewhere. All these famous people, I mean, there's somewhere, you are talking to them. It's not because they're famous. It's because they're trying to reach out to you. And we had this very thing, the university professors used to come and teach us in the Balvikas. I don't know, these are all, I mean, that time it was not very structured in the sense you could go out of the structure and not those, this thing. So our teachers, they said, okay, look here, there were some agitations going on, our schools were not running properly. So I was in my +2. They called those devotees from the university and the colleges to come and take classes in the evening. I mean, these kind of things you are unheard of in any place. Unless you pay through your nose, you won't get evening tuitions for free. I mean, here is somebody who is asking you to come and sit in the basement of Shivam and teaching you what you should be knowing. I mean, where does it happen except in Swami's organization? These are the values they teach you in Balvikas, and it's an internalization process. It's not as if you have to learn this, you have to learn this, you have to learn this. There's a long drawn internalization process which we are very happy about. That's where I keep telling a Balvika student is always like Hanuman. So you don't know your strength, but you're always humble. You're always taking care of others, and you're always thinking of the Lord. So that is Hanuman's qualities. So Balvika's student should be like Hanuman. I think that's why you have that huge statue of Hanuman in Parthi which Swami had installed. So that humility, strength, humility, and helping out others.
And perhaps, how do you think being in a position of service, which is part of your work, how do you discriminate between work and that spiritual? I mean, do you discriminate at all between taking it as work and opportunity to serve? I mean, see, in your case, you have both. One is coming in with the responsibility, which, if I use words that I sometimes flippantly use, something that you're paid for, in terms of what you have come in, and the fact that service always has to be done in the same way as Swami says, without an expectation that you're serving. So how do you balance that out between something that you, and I remember you saying that more of Swami students should come into IAS. I remember that call. So can you probably dwell a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. It's not as if there's a distinction. You don't make conscious decisions, but in public service, you have to take hard decisions. Sometimes not very popular decisions. Sometimes you have to punish people. Sometimes it's like I don't go to that extent, but when a judge, because we have judges also in our fold, what if we were to give a death sentence? So that's a dilemma. There's no dilemma in there because that is your duty. Whatever is your internal feelings, personal feelings, if there is a crime and the crime is proved, you have to give the punishment for that crime. And that is the duty of a judge. Similarly, so many things happen. I mean, we look at the positive side. If there was a intransigent fellow who is not listening, you give him counseling, you do something, he's a bad fellow, you have to take action, you put him under, when as executive magistrates in the IAS, we do a lot of arrests and preventive detentions and all that. I mean, as at the junior level, you must have done it. But that is different because that is duty. As long as you're free of animosity towards that person as an individual, you are not hating that person, you're hating that act. And there has to be a particular kind of standards you have to set, and there is no choice. This is the law. That has to be done. So, and for the other things, helping, absolutely, I mean, there's no bar. You have to help people where even there is no law. I've already narrated that was one of the incidences. But so many things keep happening. I mean, these are the things which you have to sit and think over and rationalize and put it on paper. You have to do it, which I have not done actually. So now that your question has come, perhaps next time onwards, I'll have to think out what is this? What am I doing? Is this what or not?
So,
But this is what happens. This is something which happened. But thing is, you are ingrained. There are certain values ingrained as a part of Swami's student. Though I'm not a student in that sense of the term, we are all Balvikas alumni. So I call myself a student.
absolutely.
So as he says, your life is my message. Not his life is his message. Our life is his message. So they look at you for everything. You know, whatever you do is his message. Otherwise, they'll say, "Oh, look at this guy. Calls himself a Swami's devotee." That is, if your life is his message. If that is there, then everything goes on smoothly. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think today there's been a call to get you to start being inspired by Hemant Pant, because the Satcharita also came from somebody who said he was not befitting. But I think you put a very pertinent point, which I think we shared in one of our earlier concluding remarks, which I would probably be going up to because we are reaching our end of time, is that unless we contemplate and try to infer on those things that have happened silently, especially when the Lord walks and you see only one set of footprints, you really do not know why there were only one set of footprints, and you have to do that introspection. I think in your case you have plenty of such incidents where you can go and put it down, and I think all these are not are just inspirations for those, especially in times of self-doubt, which all of us get at various stages of our life, various moments in our life. That's where we know that hold on, Sai Ram, the beautiful say his name, say his form, hold on, Sai Ram. See his name, see his form, hold on, Sai Ram. So wonderful session. I feel that there's still more that I don't mind hearing again, but and I'm sure you have those beautiful anecdotes that happen through those monthly study circles. You should have an ocean of all, it's easy to write something where all you have to do is what I heard. And that becomes one chapter, small chapters of what you heard. And that itself is a book by itself. So there can be multiple parts. And those are fast reads too, because people finish a chapter within that period. Like you take a book, I've finished a chapter. It's just a moment where you have gratitude to feel his presence and feel his grace. And thank you so very much for your time this Navaratri. And for those of you, there is a past history where the Sai Kumar always gets to speak around this time of Navaratri. That happens. Even the Radio Sai talk was after the Vijayadashmi Puja. If no one has any further questions, offering our gratitude for Dr. Sai Kumar to be with us today, and looking forward to having you all back next Sunday. I have no idea who the speaker is. Swami should know. And when he lets me know, I shall let you all know. With that, humble Sairams and happy Navaratri and Vijayadashmi. We shall finish off with Samastaloka.
Sairam.
Sairam. Samastaloka Sukino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।